Good evening, and thank you for joining us. A major cybercrime investigation, 12 people have been arrested for sharing intimate pictures of more than 100 victims. Thunder Bay Police announced the long list of charges today from an extensive investigation that was first launched in 2023. The local cybercrime unit has identified a total of 117 victims, mainly women, who include people in at least 3 other countries and across Canada. Riley Cohen reports.
It was over a year ago that the cybercrime investigation began. Acting Detective Inspector Robert Gambola says the police learned that multiple women in Thunder Bay had been having their private images shared through groups in an online chat platform.
There were 172 charges laid, including luring, extortion, mischief, 2 counts of unauthorized use of computers, 2 counts of identity fraud, 5 counts of accessing child pornography, 5 counts of distribution of child pornography, 7 counts of possessing child pornography, and 149 counts of distribute intimate images without consent.
Of the 12 men arrested, 34-year-old Joshua Wanacomic faces the most charges, with 90 counts of distributing intimate images along with child pornography offenses. The other suspects facing the most charges are 37-year-old Aaron Stolz, 32-year-old Jonathan Prieston, 38-year-old Lindsay Hunt, and 38-year-old Daryl Renault. The other 7 people charged were 28-year-old Tyler Blewin, 38-year-old Ryan Medore, 30-year-old Sheldon Price, 36-year-old James Edgson, 37-year-old Bradley Comuzi, 31-year-old Jordy LeBlanc, and 37-year-old Ian Warren. Detective Constable Joe Manhers emphasizes that the victims are in no way at fault and that this is something that can happen to anyone.
For probably 80% of these cases, these images were in the person's possession who they were taken from. So basically these guys went into their account, or someone went into their account and took these images. That's what we're letting you know. It doesn't matter if that's what happened or if they sent it to somebody and that person decided to share it. They're all true victims, and we're going to be taking this stuff seriously when it happens in the future, and we're taking it seriously now.
With 117 victims already identified, Gambola says there may still be more, which could raise the arrest count.
We're hoping through the media release and the 12 identified accused that more victims may come forward as a result of this investigation.
Anyone with information that could assist investigators is asked to contact Detective Constable Manhers or submit tips through Crime Stoppers. Riley Cohen, TBT News.
A 40-year-old man faces multiple charges after allegedly trying to disarm a Thunder Bay police officer and injuring 2 others while resisting arrest. Police were dispatched Tuesday afternoon to the 100 block of South Syndicate Avenue to arrest a person wanted on a warrant. The accused attempted to flee but was quickly captured. The man then tried to grab the officer's firearm and assaulted 3 officers while they attempted to place him in custody. He's been charged with disarming a police officer and 3 counts of assaulting a peace officer and remains in custody. Nearly 2 years after a fatal highway crash just west of Ignace, OPP have now laid criminal charges against the driver of a transport involved in a collision. The victim was a 75-year-old Ignace resident. He was operating a snowplow on Highway 17 on March 17, 2023, when his vehicle collided head-on with a tractor-trailer. OPP announced the results of their investigation today. The transport driver, 42-year-old Sukhdeep Saran from Calgary, has been charged with criminal negligence causing death. The accused is scheduled to appear in court in Dryden on March 3rd. Future users of Thunder Bay's planned indoor turf facility will appear before City Council on Monday night to talk about their fundraising plans for the project. The city is expected to choose a preferred contractor in the spring for the hangar-style facility next to the community auditorium. The president of Soccer Northwest says the public fundraising campaign will be launched once the contract is awarded. Jonathan Wilson reports.
Now that the $42 million indoor turf project is getting close to finally being built, officials from City Hall want user groups to make good on their promises to fundraise to help cover a portion of the capital costs. Soccer Northwest President Michael Veneziali says they've spent the past 4 months putting together a fundraising committee, and he'll provide an update to City Council on Monday night.
And what we're bringing forward is just basically an update on all the work that we have been doing and some of the work that we plan on doing moving forward to basically assist in raising money for the facility to basically do anything we can to make sure that this does happen this time.
The local soccer community has been lobbying the city for years to greenlight an indoor turf facility for their sport, but Veneziali says there are many other sports that will use the facility as well, and they'll all be represented on the newly formed committee.
So you have your 4 soccer groups, then you also have ultimate frisbee, you have the touch football, you have Thunder Bay minor football, you have cricket, we also now have lacrosse and some baseball in there as well.
Veneziali says they're not ready to talk about what the various fundraisers will look like or how much they plan to raise. But in 2020, when the previous indoor turf concept at Chapels Park was being debated, Veneziali spoke of an ambitious target.
Our goal is to raise up to $1 million. We know it's a high goal, but this project was a high goal for us. So that $1 million goal is something that's achievable. Yeah, we believe it is. But again, I don't want to put a limit on it because I don't want to say one amount and then go over or go under.
The Chapels Park proposal was eventually rejected due to the rising price tag. The city later agreed to pursue Soccer Northwest's concept of a less expensive hangar-style facility next to the community auditorium. The city is expected to choose one of the 3 shortlisted bidders in the spring. Veneziali says the committee won't launch their fundraising efforts until that contract is actually awarded.
We don't want to be actually taking money or requesting money from anybody until we know this is approved. We've had this twice in front of council before where it has not been approved. So we do not want to, and we do not feel right that it's to go out and ask people for their donations when we might not even have a facility.
Jonathan Wilson, TBT News.
To the latest on the election campaign trail, Ontario Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie is in Thunder Bay at this hour at a rally for local candidates. We'll have that story at 11. Meanwhile, Doug Ford continues to pull double duty, speaking again as Premier on American TV before his campaign stops as Ontario PC leader. CTV's Siobhan Morris brings us more from the party leaders.
In Scarborough, Bonnie Crombie returned to the central theme of the Liberal campaign, connecting all Ontarians to a family doctor within 4 years.
It's helping more students just entering medical schools choose to stay with family medicine, keeping the family doctors that we do have by ensuring that they have the right compensation.
Crombie also promises to cut the administrative load for doctors so they can see more patients and improve the family health team network. Progressive Conservatives have put up close to $2 billion to connect all Ontarians with primary care by 2029. New Democrats are putting the focus on renters, promising to extend rent control to cover homes built after 2018. We caught up with leader Marit Stiles between campaign stops at Hamilton's airport.
We're also going to stop rent gouging, limit short-term rentals, build more truly deeply affordable rental in the province of Ontario again, and crack down on rent evictions and dem evictions.
Using my surveying experience.
The challenges of a winter campaign on full display for Green leader Mike Schreiner at home in Guelph. He's pledging to push to double payments for social assistance and disability. Schreiner calls the current system legislated poverty.
Forcing people with disabilities to make the impossible choice between eating and having a roof over their head.
Schreiner's vow matches one made by the NDP. Liberals say they double ODSP rates over 2 years. On a factory floor, Doug Ford stayed concentrated on his core message.
Protect jobs, protect communities.
But the Progressive Conservative leader is facing questions about 2 former government staffers, subject of a lawsuit alleging they'd promised to use their back-channel contacts and political connections to rezone land for development.
I didn't know anything about this, and I don't get involved in outside stuff like that.
That was CTV's Siobhan Morris reporting. The Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association released an analysis today of the region's electrical need due to the expected growth in the mining industry. The Northwest Energy Task Force found the existing and proposed transmission system will be unable to meet with future demands of the mining industry and the infrastructure that it will require. Jaden Billick reports.
Northwestern Ontario is often described as the most significant mining area in the province. With 12 operational mines between Wawa and Rainy River, and to the north, there's another 41 mining projects in the planning stages. Officials with the Northwest Energy Task Force say our region currently generates a base load of 484 megawatts. And Group Co-Chair Ian Angus says we'll need an additional 250 megawatts distributed throughout the region.
If we invest in the transmission lines now, they will be there for the mines when they're ready, and that'll be an incentive for the mines to actually happen. Reality is, and we saw this with Greenstone Gold, they couldn't get a solution from the Ontario government in terms of bringing new power into Geraldton. So they're operating natural gas generators behind the fence.
The task force is calling for new hydro, biomass, and wind projects to bridge the gap and reduce reliance on fossil fuels. And should all of the planned mines connect to the grid by 2033, the power requirement in our region will rise to 1,968 megawatts. Angus says an option that makes sense now would be to develop a number of new biomass generation facilities as soon as possible through locations like existing and dormant sawmills.
Well, for biomass, it's 2.5 years, which is quite reasonable. Transmission, on the other hand, takes about 7 years when you go through all the regulatory process and route selection, environmental assessment, things like that. So if you don't start now, you're not going to meet the deadline. Right now, they would produce about 40 megawatts per generator.
Potential new sources of power include the proposed Little Jackfish hydroelectric generator, an increase to the output of the Atikokan generating station, and Thunder Bay Pulp and Paper Mill through power purchase agreements. For now, the next steps for the task force are to seek out meetings with the IESO and Hydro One while waiting for the next Minister of Energy. Jaden Billick, TBT News.
One of the 2 new members of the Thunder Bay Police Board's Governance Committee says he believes he brings credibility from the First Nations perspective to the board. Marcel Donio is filling a vacant role on the committee after a long career in government and law. Donio served as the Justice of the Peace from 2005 until his retirement in 2022. He says he wanted to join the Governance Committee because of his longtime interest in policing. The Thunder Bay Police Service Board confirmed his appointment at their monthly meeting last week.
I think they provide a vital service to the public for protection services. They're there when help is needed, maintaining order, protection of citizens and citizens' rights. And it's something that, by virtue of the work that I have been doing in employment equity and human rights and justice of the peace work, it's similar to the kinds of things you do, although from a different perspective.
The other vacant position was filled by Gary Ferguson, who heads up the local Salvation Army. The Friends of the Thunder Bay Public Library recently held their second monthly 50-50 draw with a big jackpot presented to a Thunder Bay resident. Carly Crow was greeted with a check for over $30,000. She says when she first heard about the draw, it sounded like a great opportunity for the library, and her winnings will help with her family in a big way. Her plans include new home appliances and a new vehicle. Tickets for the next monthly draw for February are on sale now on the Friends 50-50 website. Well, it's always nice to win the lottery, and if money was snow, we won it today.
Oh, we would be so happy. Instead of shoveling out, we'd be shoveling it maybe into our bank accounts, because there was a fair amount of snow in the region. If we take a look at our radar, moved through for the most part throughout the day, heading eastward, and as you can see, looking pretty good across the region at this hour. Here in the city of Thunder Bay, temperatures really didn't move a whole lot. We had a low of -12, but wind chills felt closer to -23. But once again, that's usually first thing in the morning. We had it a little bit backwards today. It started out actually a lot milder because it warmed up overnight and topped out with a high of -7 around noon. It's been since then that temperatures have been just dropping off with snow in the morning and then blowing snow in the afternoon with gusts up to 68 kilometers an hour. Now, if we take a look at what's going on across the region, to the west, didn't really have a whole lot of movement in temperatures today. They've been holding pretty steady at these levels between -12, -13, and all the way up to -15 for the most part, although wind chills ranged from -22 to -26. Yes, it was actually a little colder towards the south. As you head further eastward, as the system moved through, they've still got some snow at this hour, but they had it also throughout the day. They're currently seeing wind chills of around -18 throughout this region, and along the eastern shores, it's a touch warmer. Sault Ste. Marie has been under a snow squall warning since yesterday. Now, the winds have been gusting up to 60 kilometers per hour. They had some periods of very heavy snow to go with the drifting and blowing snow that they've seen today, but still managed to top out with a high of -4. At this hour, they're at -7, and wind chills, we'll say around -19. So it's definitely cool, but all due to that wind on the eastern shores of Lake Superior. Here in the city of Thunder Bay, we're going to see a relatively mild night temperature-wise. It'll only drop to -14. Unfortunately, with winds gusting up to 70 kilometers per hour this evening, it's going to feel closer to -24. Now, the winds are going to be tapering off after midnight, so it'll be a little bit less blowing snow, but we've still got to get through the next few hours, Haley, and it's going to be a blustery evening. Things should start to calm down by tomorrow morning, but we've got to get through tonight.